I should have taken it as a warning, because afterwards on the wreck I nearly drowned. There was a terrible dive. There was some river in flood in the bay, and the whole water was brown. And when I went down, it looked like blood. Looked like diving in a sea of blood. The color was terrible, and it was a terrible dive. And when I tried to come up, the current came in, the tidal current, and when I tried to come up, somehow the current swept me into the deep water. The wreck was in maybe 70 feet of water, but the current was taking me down to 150, and I couldn't fight the current. And I escaped, well, just with a bare life there. So, well, I reckoned, superstitious or not, there might be something. And I decided, well, I'll leave this wreck alone. There's a big treasure there, but it was a little bit too hot. Especially one of these days, I can't remember exactly when it happened, but there was a thunderstorm, and lightning struck the tower of the church I had taken as one of my ranges, and the tower broke down in the lightning. So I let that ship rest for a while. 2 years later I went back. I thought it should be cooled off now. And I went out and I looked at my markers. I had markers on the bottom of the sea. They couldn't burn there. So I found my markers, I found my spot, and I took a friend along and I showed him the place, and we came up and they said, well, let's go for it. Are you superstitious? Nah. Are you? Not really. But that night, the marketplace I had lined up for the other range burned down. It was a tremendous fire. They couldn't douse it, burned down to everything. Nothing was standing anymore. So that's the last I've seen of it. I left the place. I haven't been back for the last 6 years now. I'm not really superstitious. But, well, there might be something there, you know. Well, initially I was a treasure hunter, and I wanted to find gold and silver. But finding the artifacts eventually gave me the greatest satisfaction. And following up a trail of history and finding the artifact at the end of the trail proved to be even more exciting. So as the years passed, I found the important part is not even the artifact. The important part is the story the artifact can tell us. So we are looking for treasure, historical treasure. We are trying to uncover the history which is hidden beneath the waves. It is also hidden in the archives, but beneath the waves is a piece of history you can touch, take in your hands, you can feel. And when you feel the piece of history, you feel something within yourself. And that's what keeps me going now, more than any gold or silver. And this is where the difference mostly is between other treasure hunters. I was born in 1943 in Switzerland. The lakes are cold, and I learned to swim only when I was 15 years old. But as soon as I knew how to swim, I wanted to learn how to dive. And this was mainly because I had read a book about some treasure hunter. treasure hunter fighting with giant octopus and giant sharks and skeletons holding the treasure chests and things like that. Completely crazy story, but well, up in the mountain there it looked real enough. So I wanted to learn to dive, and I think I was certified in 1962. And as we do in Switzerland, we go about things methodically. So to go and look for the treasure, I wanted to become a professional diver, commercial diver, learn everything about diving first. So that's where I went to the ocean and became a commercial diver and spent some 15 years as a commercial diver, learning everything about diving, from deep water diving on the oil rigs with helium mix and saturation and whatever you want to name. In the meantime, I forgot about the shipwrecks. I realized the stories I'd read weren't so real. And eventually I came back to the treasure hunting, quite by accident. And after I found my first treasure myself, I haven't been doing nothing else for the last 11 years. I believe for a diver to survive to old age, he's got to have 9 lives, like a cat. And unfortunately, for the first few lives I was kind of careless, so I spent all 8, so I have only the 1 left, so I have to be careful about that one. But the closest call really was going to work, getting to the job site with a helicopter, flying out to the oil rig. The helicopter crashed into the sea, and out of the 8 passengers, only 2 survived, myself and another one. So that was the time when I decided, well, I want to retire from this profession. The most difficult part is to get all the pieces together. So many times people with good intentions have the money, but they don't have a boat and they don't have the know-how. So by the time they get equipment and boats, they don't have any more money. And by the time they have the know-how, there's no money either. And if they have the money, then they don't have the permit. And if they have the permit, then they don't have the know-how. And that's where the problem is, just to get all the pieces together in one spot before the one gets lost or walks away or something. And that seems to me the critical part. It's also due that most treasure hunters are individualists and like to do their things their way. So it's hard to form a team. It's hard to find somebody wanting to work together. And this is the exceptional part with Scott and myself. We both had the same ideas, and we got together and we could put enough of our individual ego aside to be able to work together.